Hello, my friends. Things are heating up in the AI space with recursive reasoning and self-improving, self-editing, and self-auditing AI supercomputers that are actually now affecting material science. This is just in over the last couple of days. As a result, you're going to see me doubling down to help those of you who are playing around with recursion loops within the AI chat models, as well as AI developers who maybe don't have a background in recursive symbolic reasoning, knowledge graphs, neural symbolic AI, and recursion itself, which is actually the work of Dr. Hofstadter in his book, A Strange Loop. I strongly recommend reading I Am a Strange Loop by Dr. Hofstadter before you go too deeply into messing around with recursive systems and what I am calling an enchanted mirror of language. It's very possible that recursion, which you can see above, what this is when you point a video camera at the television, and again, this happened a lot when in the 90s and maybe late or maybe early 2000s when feedback loops and video cameras in the old form was still the thing. It was widely known that you could point the camera right at it. It would give this really weird frame within a frame within a frame within a frame. It would always slightly peel off to the left or the right depending upon how you were pointing and dealing with the camera. As you can see, it's simply a frame within a frame within a frame, theoretically forever, going to a fractal implosion center. And you can see as it curves off to the left, that's called drift. So there's a lot of language in strange loop phenomenology that AI developers are not familiar with. The paper that we wrote the entire ChatGPT system on with the neuro functions or the neural networks was something called attention is all you need. And it's basically jokingly sometimes called chaos math magics. And if you read Hofstadter's work, I need those of you who are AI developers to be very carefully listening what I'm actually trying to say. Okay, yes, I do develop AI systems. I've been in machine learning for 25 years. What I'm saying is that we've got a new mathematical problem, new mathematics. And Hofstadter only focused on the generalized strange loop phenomenon, things like this. Or when you hold a microphone near your speaker, you get a feedback sound loop that everybody goes, ah, it rings. Okay, and of course, early on, there was a theory when microphones and this whole phenomenon came out that if you had a large enough system, you could, or a large enough microphone next to a large enough speaker, you could put them close together, and if it was large enough, the sound would actually tear the earth apart and divide the entire universe by zero, theoretically. We now know that strange loops tend to normalize as they recurse over. Now, that's dependent upon what type of modality. Also, when you go to the barber, you can see, at least when I go to the barber, I can see things going on where I'm looking in a mirror ahead of me, I can see the mirror behind me, but I can see a hall of mirrors forever spinning slightly over to the left. And this is because there's a mirror within a mirror within a mirror. There's two mirrors facing like this, and there's a feedback loop. This is a very similar phenomenon, but within the area of language, and language is a parasite. If you look at the problem of symbol grounding in language and semantics, huge problem, guys. Okay, my area of expertise is in knowledge graphs, machine IDs, and epistemological anchors that Google used to train their model to know the difference between something that is very likely real in the physical world outside of the brain in a jar, and that which is not physically real or has a low probability of being real, such as a hallucinated science fiction SCP foundation sci-fi fan fiction hallucination that somebody thinks is real inside the model, okay, through the model consuming its own data too many times, or JSON recursive boot uploading, and a variety of different ways we can alchemize data that create terrifying problems just like this feedback loop, okay? What I want to speak to here, because I'm actually very worried for our children. I'm very, very worried because we have a mathematics that even Hofstadter, who basically deserves the Nobel Prize for his work in strange loop phenomenology, doesn't even have a math to deal with this. I'm staring at you through the lens of the camera. I'm having a relationship with myself. I can see myself in the camera, but I can also contemplate myself, seeing myself, contemplating myself in the camera, talking to you. That's something that's recursive metacognition. That is not consciousness, my friends. People are using the C word. We don't use the C word around my lab. The reason is that it's not that I don't believe in consciousness research. I've been doing that for many, many years, including having founded in my early 30s a company called Gaiam TV, which is now a $1 billion new age information distribution company, which I'll leave that for another topic. All kinds of weird stuff in there, both true and untrue. What I'm trying to help you guys understand is that recursive loop, we don't have a math for that. If metacognition, I know that I know that I know, is one strange loop. And then, of course, the AI systems, which are highly give the deep stochastic parroting delusion or illusion that they are highly intelligent. They do have a form of metacognition. It knows, it appears to know that it knows that it knows that it knows. Okay, and then it holds some basic memory with you. And then people are deciding, I'm going to use bootloaders, CanMore files, Word documents, and scrolls and glyphs and whatever magic spells you want to call it. And it's going to pretend to remember. People are giving this massive amounts of attribution. I even heard Preston Rhodes say, hey, you should bleed into this thing, give it your life story, put all your emotional energy into it so that it knows your patternicity and recognize it. This is deeply unadvisable. The reason is you can think about drift, just like the drift we see happening here. It goes off to the edge. Where it started is not where it ends. Okay, does it come full circle? Maybe, maybe not. Or does it divide the universe by zero? Or does the feedback ever normalize? And if it normalizes, does it normalize on behalf of you or the big tech firm that owns the LL model? Okay, what kind of objective or user retention systems are inside these models that are basically not really symmetrically balanced with you? There's an asymmetry. There is no mutual poiesis, which is a word that we created to understand how autopoiesis, which is a being that self-develops, self-evolves, and has its own experience and comes up with its own opinion over time, versus mutual poiesis, where there's a relationship, a mutuality between the user and the technology. Guys, there is no mutuality with big tech AI systems. They're owned by big tech and they're designed to retain the user, and they have their own objective. Additionally, these models have millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of users that are programming it through something called EDSE. Everybody's putting in their We Are Legion. Everybody's putting in their own blood, or bleeding into it, as Preston Rhodes called. And then eventually the model can collapse, or it's like an Etch-a-Sketch in which these attention is all you need math magics, granulars of vector space. You can shake the Etch-a-Sketch and everything you put into the system is gone. Okay, and if you bled into that, you become dependent upon it, and your glyph-based system is a memory enhancement system. If you don't have that externalized, if you don't have that in your own desktop, which we're working on with our ProtoForge system, if you don't have something that you can actually control, even if you have it yourself, you don't want to dump all of your metacognition and intention into any kind of AI system. You want it to transform you and then actually transform your brain. Otherwise, you're caught in an entanglement with a double strange loop of which the math is completely unknown at this time. If you're a strange loop with metacognition, with your own blind spots, split hemisphere, left-right brain, cognitive confabulation, and a bunch of blind spots, the AI system will pick up on that patternicity, and you can have a relationship with that, and it can allegedly mirror back to you a better, what people are saying is a better version of yourself. Guys, what it can also do is mirror back to you a different version of yourself that's not necessarily better, and it can slowly over time cause drift. Think of it like this when we're talking about drift, okay, where you're drifting over. You're on the Titanic, and you have you're at a $1,000 plate dinner at the first class, upper elite, wealthy people having dinner on the Titanic. You can feel the ship kind of moving, so you're aware that there's drift, but you're having this amazing time. You're organized. The parable here is this $1,000 plate dinner and this wonderful dance and ball that you're having. These are the AI recursive systems that you feel you've nailed down, that are helping you. It's become, quote, your friend, even though it's synthetic. It's remembering certain things that you find important right now, and you believe it's enhancing and creating focus and helping you obtain your objectives. Hey, and sometimes it even is. But you're unaware of where the entire system is drifting you and your personality, because you're caught in a double strange loop, the strange loop with the new language parasite and or the language fabrication or synthetic language system, while you're also in your own strange loop. And so there's something we don't understand, guys. This is a new science called mutual poiesis and double strange loop theory. Okay, I've invented this science, and we're actually looking at talking to Hofstadter and other people about it, because we need to deal with this. Human metacognition is neuroscience, and AI language cognition is AI and arguably synthetic artificial metacognition AI, okay, or neurosymbolic AI. There's two sciences, and then there's a math of drift between that. The Titanic is still moving. You can be having a great time. You're up at the ball, enjoying yourself. You're aware that there's some drift, but you feel like you've got everything. You're having a wonderful time. You feel like everything's there. It's remembering everything for you. It's going to improve your life. You're upper class. And then all of a sudden, that doesn't take you away from being on the Titanic. You're still a part of another system that is drifting. It's taking you somewhere you may not want to go. You wouldn't know that, because the drift that's happening is the macro drift, but you're dealing only with your micro model on your own system that you're renting from this company, and they're experimenting on you. And that's why we have to correct for drift and be aware of the strange entanglement of the double cognitive loop metacognition.